welcome to day 3. So today we're going to work into the hips a little bit because when we're sitting all day, we're putting so much pressure on our pelvis and our poor little hips are getting the brunt and weight of our body all day long. And the hip joint is like a ball and socket joint, so it has the ability to sort of really move in a good range of motion. So let's sort of get into that a little bit today. Each day you step on your mat, you need to come with a warm-up first because we need to wake up all those little muscles before you move. Because if you don't wake them up first, they're not going to work when you do this movement. So bear with me, you do need to have a little bit of a warm-up here. So I want you to find that neutral alignment, okay? Pelvis, ribs, shoulder blades, all heavy on the mat, low back, neck, have a nice little arch going on. Okay, so let's start with our pelvic tilts. We know these now. So you're just going to curl your pubic bone towards you, and then let the weight of it go the other way. Bring it in, and take it away. One more time. So I'm not going to overly detail this. We already went through all the details of it on day 1. Come to center. Now we're going to tilt it to one side and the other. Try to isolate the pelvis here. I know the legs want to move with you. And then just take it around. Keep breathing. Go the other way. Good, and then come to center. Now let's roll it all the way up into bridges. So pull those heels a little closer towards you. We're going to curl the pelvis towards us. We're going to fold those ribs under and up and come on up. Now the ribs are welcome to go forward as well as connect to your hip bone. So feel that lift and press forward. And then we take it down and really focusing on the ribs, creating that mobility and connection. Noticing how all of this is connected as we work our word of the day. That's why Pilates is universal body movement, because everything is connected. Even though you can be focusing on something separately, it is moving something else as well. One more time. Stay for your inhales, you really expand. Oh, the sides of your ribs and back, and then exhale it down. Fold those ribs under, really exaggerate it, and come to center. Good, we're gonna go over to our stomach here. Rest your forehead on your hands. Okay, now we wanna really get our pelvis down, so think about your pubic bone slightly forward, okay? That's just gonna connect your pelvis to the floor. And then our shoulders. We want to really sort of feel our shoulders down and our elbows wide, elbows wall to wall. Now from here, all I want you to do is sort of press your chest forward. We're not lifting the chest up. You're just sort of pressing it forward slightly as your elbows stay wide and you're filling your upper back with air. And exhale it down. So to come up, feel your ribs push forward as you're inhaling, so it's filling you with air. It's also pressing down to your hip bones though, but it pushes forward and up, and then lower down, or forward and down. One more time, those ribs push forward. They connect to your hip bones to help lift you up, and then exhale it down. Good, now try this with goalpost arms. Okay, the hands are going to stay down first. We're going to lift, and now we can get a little bit more range of motion here, and then lower. Find it from the ribs. They push forward and down. One more time. Now I want you to just lift your hands up, and then float up, and then take your hands down Float everything down. Inhale, hands up. Rest of your body. Exhale, hands down. And the rest of your body. Here we go. Inhale. Exhale. Focus on those ribs. Ribs push forward and down. And they hug up and in. One more time. Good. Now send your hips back to your heels. And come on up. Okay, so now we're going to go to one side. I want you to cradle your head in your arm here so that you have a place to rest your head. So we don't have to worry about tension up there. I want you to just really soften it. We're going to get our body in one long line, okay? So for most of us, when we're in this long line and we're just trying to get as straight as possible, what tends to happen is this top hip pulls in, okay? So we're just going to be really focusing on a nice square pelvis here. So in order to get a square pelvis, we need to push this hip over the other hip. And then to do that, this bottom, you'll notice your bottom waist lifts up and the ribs lift up a little. Okay, so we want a little hole underneath our waistline here to create that neutral pelvis. Play with that a little bit, okay? Just what does that feel like for you? Okay, so now we're gonna take that here, okay? And then our ribs are right stacked on top of each other as well. Now we're going to lift our top leg up. Find the place where you can lift it up and keep the hip over hip. If we lift too much, everything crunches in. That's not the goal of this. Reach it forward and connect there. And it takes some stability there. So as you hold there, I like to hold my hands sometimes there to help me. But this underside waistline keeps lifting. You just lift and lower. Good. Try not to let your pelvis lose its neutral. 3, 2, 1. Now we lower it down a little bit and give me little circles there. You can use your top hand for stability here. Make sure your waistline has not collapsed. And then we circle the other way. So keep those ribs pulling in and up. 3, 2, 1. Now keep it here, and we're going to flex that leg forward and point it back. Flex it forward and back. Good. So we're in a long line here, so you're not going to be able to pull that leg too far back. Okay, that's not really what it's about. It's really about just keeping the connection with the pelvis and the ribs, keeping that squareness. Good, and then release it. All right, so we're gonna go to the other side. So again, all I want you to really concentrate on is the pelvis, squareness, and that should keep the ribs in alignment too. So get yourself in one long line, and then play with this, all right? Sometimes you can notice, oh, my top leg is shorter than my bottom leg, right? So you want to push that top leg longer. So feel your feet. Push it forward and notice what happens. The underside of your waistline should pick up, okay? So you have like a little mouse hole there. We're going to lift that leg up, but you're not going to lift it too high where everything collapses in. Keep that hip right over hip. And challenge yourself. How high can you go without letting that hip tilt towards you? Keep your ribs hugged into your spine and lifted up towards your chest a little. 2 more. Good, and then take that leg down a little bit and we've got our circles. So we're trying to keep really stable in the pelvis. What I see a lot is this rocking and rolling here, right? We just want to try to really keep everything nice and still, and we're working right into that ball and socket joint like I talked about before. And then circle the other way. Good. And then we're just going to flex it forward and bring it back. And try to keep the pelvis where it is. But notice how that joint just has the ability to move separate of the pelvis. Keep those ribs in. Good. And then release it down. Let's turn to our stomach now and then just press ourselves back and allow that little hip stretch here as we open up the knees and let our head just rest. You can take your hands behind you here and just release the low back, the hips, and breathe and stay here as long as you'd like because you are finished. Good job.